Well, the concerns that I had with this, as I tried to, kind of learn a little bit about it, is if you would adopt home rule, it gives you higher authority than the states over sanitation. We've already went through that. I mean, is this a way in to where if you adopt home rule, you have the authority over all sanitation to go ahead with the sewer system?
I don't think they're really interested in home rule.
No, I think how this is started is they were talking back and forth, and he brought up, me or Jen didn't at all realize what home rule was, and they must have mentioned it talking about the solar panels last time.
I think you're right, Rob. It was generally discussed as a part of a broader discussion on what authority the village board would or wouldn't have. But beyond that question, and me kind of posing back, I think it was further maybe discussed as a part of that discussion at the study session. And Joyce asked me, and my response was, I'm not really sure there's any reason you guys would want to do home rule. If there are particular issues that they're concerned about, we can talk about those. But I think it was put on there just as a result of that conversation. I don't think it's on there for any other reason.
For what I've looked at, was it, seen on the agenda.
Which is a concern, knowing what this entails, as to what it could entail, the nuisance that you would have authorities over, the sanitation, the fines, the taxes. There's a lot involved in this. So it should be a concern for...
And keep in mind, if the village board ever did want to move in that direction, it can only do so by referendum. So, it's one of those things, if you ever did decide to do that, every voter is going to have an opportunity to offer an opinion on it, but I don't think there's any interest in doing it. So I think it ended up on the agenda, but I don't think it ended up on the agenda for any particular reason.
But we would have no way of knowing that.
No.
It was on the agenda. It's a huge concern.
Right. It was not actually even on my agenda. So
Who put it on the agenda?
well, who writes the same person? Joyce. So I put it on the agenda, and she's not here. So I think we could probably just note for the record that while it appeared on the agenda, it did so in correlation with the solar panel issue, and that at this time there's no interest in considering home rule.
And also with public participation, there was concern with this being on the agenda. Should also be on the agenda.
It was kind of scary, honestly.
If you read through all of this, you would understand.
Well, I can see definitely, especially after we just...
Exactly.
That explains the crowd.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
No. So I think our apologies, because it was not supposed to cause any alarm. There's no real consideration of moving in that direction at all.
And that will be in the minutes too.
Yeah. Presentation comments from the board. I'd like the choice of individual if you had any name. Jen? You sure? Nothing?
We just had one question for Rob. We had the problem with the raccoon on Saturday, or the big raccoon that was possibly rabid or distemper or something. There's a huge dead raccoon behind my house on Jones' property today.
Another one?
So, I told you I had that friend of mine that worked for the vet that was in our class Saturday that said that this could be a distemper problem. And she said, watch for other dead animals or raccoons in the area. And I just want to tell you there's a great big dead one back there.
Alright, I'll get him tomorrow.
3.
Yeah.
I had a big dead one in my backyard, but it didn't stand a chance.
What's that?
I had a big dead one in my backyard, but it didn't stand a chance. It didn't know what hit it.
It's weird, a lightning bolt.
It was.
Out of the blue. Are they all just raccoons or any other animals?
I've not seen anything with the raccoon. Yeah, I just talked to
Stop
his
for one to
office,
run
so
across the
3
road.
of them right there.
There's been a lot of animals lately. A skunk, a groundhog,
As we discussed, we probably displaced a lot of
yep.
stuff taken out.
Jones's house being removed, all the raccoons had to go somewhere.
Yeah, well, was just saying that the symptoms that I described are something like this. But definitely in raccoons and other animals can get.
Something kind of just for residents to be aware of.
Yeah, so, you know, the yellow house, we see raccoons and groundhogs, and possums running in and out of it.
Is that house habited?
I don't think it is.
Yes, it is.
She's got.
Yeah.
It's one look there, I know there about this critter.
Some groundhog on the bay.
Yeah.
I've seen
It was
too.
big. Born in a basement. Yeah.
Wildlife sanctuary.
It's gone now though. Well, now there's another one. They're all displays, right? So basically, I mean, we just wanted to warn residents to be heard about their pet vaccinations, but that's covered under.
Something else I was interested in, the resident whose porch it was on called animal control, and they said they won't come out.
They will not. Animal control only handles domesticated animals. I believe you have to call DNR
Yeah,
or
they wouldn't come
something.
out.
Or there are some other like private companies
They
that
wouldn't come out unless it was dead or in the house.
Well, my neighbor, my old house, a goat showed up in the backyard.
That's my goat.
Was that your goat? Well, it's found a new home now. I don't know where it went, but it found a new home. Where a goat came from, I have no idea.
Glad you brought that up.
I think I might know.
A rooster attack.
So,
the goat just showed up.
Oh,
Do you know where that Bieleczki property is? It's the next road north of you
they don't
guys.
have any anymore.
They don't?
Okay. No, they don't. I think it was somebody's pet and they dumped it. That house was notorious for unwanted animals.
In that area where you live, yeah.
I did that one other thing, and the resident contacted me, who was on the edge of town, and wanted to know why they couldn't have quails that are kept inside their building, machine shed, garage, shed, or otherwise, because the nuisance ordinance, I guess, doesn't allow it. And I know we've talked about chickens before, and ducks, and I've had two people ask me now. I have friends that have quails, very clean operation inside the garage, inside municipalities. I told them I would vote to change that, possibly. Chickens,
I think if people want chickens, a small number, no roosters.
Chickens next week. The
You
price
know,
of eggs, we can't afford this, so we're gonna raise chickens.
I think everybody, if they're game, they should be able to.
yeah, I told them I'd bring it up, so I brought it up. I don't know if anybody else. I think roosters are the big problem that people have.
Yeah, I think the other concerns I've heard have just been about like cleanliness.
Yeah.
You know, creating some.
So I just got that one that
That's
just
what I'm worried
left.
about. Cleanliness, noise, disease, bugs, but it sounds like they eat the bugs instead of attracting the bugs, but I could do it.
No, the hens, they eat everything that they can find.
And the quail, the operations I've seen are in their own individual cages, machine shed, and sell them for the eggs.
I don't think guineas would be a good idea.
Those are mean ones.
Oh, they're the loudest screech you've ever heard. They are like guard birds. Anything comes near their yard, they run it out.
Resident, once you get a couple ducks, even though those are here them up in the van. But anyway, anybody else on that? Thoughts on that?
They're beautiful, but they're loud.
Get those people that take care of them, then you get the ones that just have them, and then they just let
Yeah.
them, you
So
know.
that's
That's the dilemma.
the other thing I read is it attracts skunks.
Oh,
They come in and eat chickens.
Oh, a lot of things try to come in to get chickens.
I
It just, you wouldn't want them free ranging.
Yeah, we've got the edge of town, don't have any yard that they're around.
Oh, no, they come all the way up like that.
Yeah, you're on the very, you're right next to the.
What comes all the way up there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they would, if it wasn't for my dog, they would, but they
Right, that's what
It's a
they're
dog.
looking for. If my dogs are in the house, they're up on my deck, and I'm like, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Just one that somebody mentioned to me that, false dogs were chasing the kids again.
Oh, yeah, they chase one of my kids.
Always.
But animal control won't come down, so I don't know why we pay them anything.
Must have been a dog.
That bites.
Yes, somebody, it was my understanding, somebody would actually file a formal complaint, they would do it, right?
Yeah, so the problem, I've had discussions with them, it is not that they are unwilling to respond. The problem they have is no one will leave their name and file a formal complaint. And if that's the case, then they can't prosecute.
But if the dog's running at large, they should be able to.
I filed multiple complaints and gave them my name, and last time they didn't even come down.
I'll call again. So the last time I called, which was several months ago, they had a change in management there, and the person that we had worked with was no longer there anymore. But they were in a transitional period. So let me call them and make sure that I want to bring it back to their attention, that this is an issue that they're not responding to, and we have an agreement with them, so they will respond to these things.
Well, actually, they did come down and leave a tag on his door, but when I talked to him, I was like, that's going to do nothing. He's going to throw that on the ground and move on, and that's exactly what he did. So they also know that he's kind of dangerous, so I think they're a little leery of racing down here to take his dogs.
You know, the other thing that, and I don't know if it applies, the other issue that I discussed with them the last time was if they determined that the dogs were not vaccinated, that would give them more ability to take more substantive action. And I think that they can obviously tell because you have to return your information to the county to confirm your animals are vaccinated. I'll call them and just see if I can get a sense of why they're
Didn't they take them one time because they weren't?
Yes, they
Got
did.
them- Got them shots and returned them to them.
Yeah, he went and bailed them out. So I don't know. They also told me I need a video when I call. So I did get a video. It's been a while and it's not great, but the dogs are like a block away. So I was trying to accumulate a better one before I contacted them.
Is that in Urbana? Is that animal control in Urbana?
I'm not sure where they come from. And they did get a lot friendlier when they switched this last year, whatever. They'd actually respond and call me, but
It's Champaign County.
It's just
Yeah.
Champaign County, okay.
I mean, we pay like $3,000 and we barely get
Right.
anything out of it.
And I think our property taxes all go into this county too, for these services.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have agreements that get adopted every few years. Without question, the point of those is to have a source to handle animals running amok and creating nuisances. So, I'm happy to call them, and I don't know to call them unless you guys tell me that they're not being responsive, so I'll follow up and see what I can do.
And there has to be some better way than us having to list our name for them to get them. Because most people are afraid of what he's going to do.
Well,
Because he has proven to be violent.
right, and I'll ask again, I think their concern was, look, we can do this without a complainant, but then when we go to pursue it, and he shows up and says, no, that didn't happen, they can't substantiate their claim, and nothing happens. So, is it absolutely required? No, they can fine him, but if he fights the fine, they said they will lose every time.
So if they have a video, then would that be?
That would certainly assist, although they probably have to establish foundation for the evidence, which is going to mean the person who took the bait.
Even if they catch it running around themselves?
If they catch it running around themselves, I think that is very difficult.
Yeah, I've sent videos with the dogs running wild, probably 2 or 3.
Especially when the kids are going home from school.
Yeah.
Sure, it's getting warmer.
Well, we've left meetings and I've seen them chase people that were, elderly, and I mean, it's a problem. They shouldn't be able to just run out of the house and attack somebody.
And we also have ordinance, we can send violation notices. Again, I think the philosophy, and animal control will actually send fines for us to. That is part of what they're supposed to do, is send our fines if there's a violation. That's part of what we contract with them for, is they're kind of our enforcement for that portion of our code. So, again, I can follow up on that again. The question is the extent to which it's going to change the outcome.
Well, I think a phone call from you would help anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Is there any correspondence? No.
The announcements, next village board meeting will be Wednesday, March 6th, 2024 at 6:30. The next study session will be Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 at 6:30.
I've got
One question. You were talking a long time ago about Hartman Park was going to get a tree or something. What was that about?
The Christmas tree?
Yeah, I was,
Christmas tree. Oh,
That's
okay.
an evergreen.
yes, I was gonna get a Christmas tree
Did they
to
ever put the evergreen in?
no, we gotta pick, I don't think they even have them for sale yet. We gotta go pick it out, and it'll be spring, it'll be a couple months before we can get it.
Bring the apple fiber tree. Oh,
It'll get there.
Does anybody know about, people have been asking about the post office?
So the one on Mattis?
They said
Oh,
closing that, turn that into a hub, and then eliminating all the small ones.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I heard the same thing, as I was up mailing something in Savoy, and they were actually discussing about closing the Mattis facility, and then they were gonna sort all the mail in Chicago, so I don't know. Beyond that, I don't know, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, it was on the radio
So we'll
too.
never get our mail.
Yeah, probably
It'll be
not.
late, later.
It seems like they just built that champagne.
They did, not so long ago.
Not all that
you're
long.
a fan?
91.
Oh, wow. It's got
When?
Yeah,
91.
Oh,
it's not that old. It's not like this.
everybody has a
I'm 5 years old.
box 96 and 97. What are you doing with all your boxes? And they're going to be closed.
I'm guessing we don't have to have boxes.
Yeah, I don't need a post office box.
Here.
Right.
I don't, I just.
Well,
They're
sounds like great fun. Modern advancements.
We need a motion to anything else?
Yeah.
excuse me though, I'd like to ask about, with Glenn Jones's properties, what's the disposition of those and who stands to benefit from the sale of his properties? Is that money going to go to the county for back taxes or something?
So presently, there is, we're applying for a lien against the property as to all the expenses that we incurred in demolition. The other property remains subject to litigation. And if there was a sale of the property, it would depend on who owned the property, how those funds would be used. Whether they would pay taxes, whether they would pay, if the property is sold to a third party, the village will be reimbursed on the property where the house was demolished up to the amount they can be, right?
Who will reimburse the buyer?
The proceeds of any sale would go to
I see.
the lien, just like if you had a mortgage or any other kind of lien on your property. But I don't think there's any belief that the property would ever sell enough to come close to reimbursing for that
It
cost.
hasn't gone through tax sale.
No.
Well, there's no tax deed that has ever been issued on that property.
I'm confused though. I thought we are very close to owning the smaller
We are.
portion of the village.
We are, but it's still, we still have not received anything as of yet. And that litigation is pending in the end.
That's what.
And then on the large property, then once we file it, we'll default on the.
We can either let it sit there, for a while and see if there's somebody who's interested in it. We could have discussions with the property owner about whether there's any interest in just signing it over to the village. There are a variety of options.
Which I thought we were told he intended to do that. Maybe when you weren't here, I know we were told that there was discussions between him and his representative that he's just interested in signing the property over. Do you you remember that?
His representative.
I remember it too.
What? So I can tell you in a hearing recently, he indicated an interest in no longer having anything to do with the property. The extent to which he does not have legal counsel, so I have to communicate with him by letter to talk about any sort of opportunities that might exist for settlement. And so we'll see what the response is.
Still possible, but not.
Still possible.
Thank you.
I don't know if I answered everything, but it's just me.
Anybody else?